What's up, Jesse?
Hi, Jesus.
Hey.
It's working, right?
Yeah, you're kind of loading for me, but I'm wondering if it's my end. Um,
I see you very good. So,
okay. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, yeah, you have like a little circle like twirling right here, but yeah, I'm wondering if that's okay. But how are you doing? Good?
doing fine. Yeah, over here with a lot of rain.
Oh God. Can everyone see both of us? Is like the visual fine? I'm a little nervous.
I see you fine. I don't know if anyone who's joining us can let us know if they can see us both.
Just like a thumbs up. Jesse, please. Oh,
Thank you.
sweet. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so I'm just gonna start. Yeah, hello. My name is Jesus Trevino. I'm an MFA candidate in studio art here at UT Austin, and I'm also the curator of this exhibition, Between Two Worlds, which includes 12 artists from the border of Brownsville, Texas, and Matamoros, Tamaulipas. The exhibition engages themes of identity, language, highlighting the bilingual aesthetics of the border, but also kind of important to this talk is cultural conflict, social issues, and the realities of the border, such as immigration. And though bilingual aesthetics and the book of poems by Americo Paredes were framework for the show, um, I felt like the realities had to be present in a show about or an exhibition about the border, and maybe they are throughout, and it's kind of the context and it's subtext, but in most of the work, but maybe a little more directly with your pieces. So we're here with Samantha, Isabel, Garcia. I feel lucky to have been able to get two works from you in putting together the show. Everyone mentioned you as someone to reach out to. Mark Clark loves you, Jesse Burciaga, Macias, and I was aware of your work and admired it, but like I knew you were in New York, and I didn't know if it was even possible. So yeah, thank you for participating and being here. And I know it was a hassle, but I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so
So
much for the invitation and loving the referrals and actually
yeah.
for all the help that, all the hassle that it was crossing and some of the materials throughout the border during
Mhm.
COVID and during all the craziness that happened just to be able to cross them. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it was madness. But yeah, so yeah, please introduce yourself, where you're from, where you are now, how you got there, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Hey, so I'm Samantha Isabel. I'm from Matamoros, Tamaulipas, Mexico. I'm currently in New York. I apologize in advance for the noise that you're hearing. It's raining over here, and I'm in a very busy street. But yes, I'm here in Harlem, New York, and currently working over here. I went to school in UTB, which is now UTRGV. Got my sociology degree with a minors in arts, and then went for a master's degree of interdisciplinary studies, where I got the opportunity to study not only sociology, but art as well, and psychology. And when I went to school, it was still UTB, but in the middle of getting my master's, it transformed to what is currently known as UTRGV, or the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, which is a lot of the connections that I have with the rest of the artists in this exhibition.
Mhm. Cool. Yeah, so I guess I guess we'll get into it. So like you turn the corner into the exhibition space, right? Into the smaller room of the center space, and suddenly the air shifts a little. It's a little hotter, warmer, uncomfortable. It's a red room, and you're suddenly in the presence of this kind of bodily, shiny, could kind of feel wet-ish because of how shiny and reflective it is. Looking mass on an island in the center of the space, and it's made of chile guajillo. It's a surprising piece. It's a powerful thing to like encounter, and it's the spicy scent that's kind of muffled by the mash, but like everything about it is just like it kind of puts you kind of uneasy, but it's exciting that you want to know like what is happening, what is this thing. So can you, I don't know, talk about what this is physically, materially? Uh, yeah, what's happening here?
Yeah, so that piece is made of, there's a foam in the middle which makes the piece lighter for transportation. But everything outside of it is made of the chile guajillo. So the yellow halo that you see around it is, there are the seeds that are inside of the chile guajillo that start coming out when I'm starting manipulating the chile on its own. And then I use the same chile to cover all the pieces, and the remains of, the cutting out the chile, it's what you see on the red on the floor. That's how
Mm.
that is made. That comes from a series of work where I was exploring the chile guajillo as the main material and the main connection between the pieces that I was working on. And I continue actually still working on them currently. That tied of, a lot of concerns that I have in 2016 um, regarding immigration and policies and the campaign of Donald Trump back then when he was running to become the president.
Mhm.
And
And
so those,
so,
yeah.
go ahead. Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, why was that important to you, or what is who's stranded, you know?
Yeah, so those pieces are basically, like a reaction. I would say like a gut reaction that I have when I heard the first speech when he was opening his campaign, when he's climbing down the escalator, the golden escalator.
Right.
And the rhetoric that was on that speech, it was very powerful, but also the reaction of the media and the reaction of, the citizens overall, not only in the States, but in Mexico and in a lot of different places. It was just very strong for me. I couldn't believe there was a person who was trying to potentially become the president of the United States that was talking about me, that was talking about my people and my family in the terms that he was using. So I wanted to
Hmm.
use a material that convey all the senses. Like you were describing the piece that is right now in Austin. The smell, the sense of, that you want to touch it, the wetness that you're describing. It just really attacking all of your senses, and that's how I felt when I was hearing that speech. That there's something about us as Mexicans that our presence is so powerful, and a good and in the worst way in this case, that I needed something that was, as punching as that. So I thought of Chile as a medium to do so. There's also a lot of, casualties or things that just happen. Like some of my friends were helping me out cooking now for my family, and I'm not the best cook. I'm not the worst, but I really don't cook much. And they were teaching me how to make some tacos with tortillas rojas. I had no idea
Yeah.
how that was made. And literally the light through the kitchen was so intense, like coming from the window, that they were, like cutting the chile. And I realized that the chile on its own has a lot of transparency.
Right.
And the red really jumps into your eyes and goes beyond the actual chile, and it transforms the space because of this same transparency. So I was trying to figure out a way how to use that, and tied up all these concerns that I have in 2016 and currently obviously in 2020 with the rhetoric that we have around immigration. And that piece in specific was really about the people who are stranded in the journey. We know from this other side of all the people that are actually already here, but there's a lot of people who die in the middle of the journey,
Right.
and their bodies remain there, and they don't have, like the process that my family, your family, God forbid, will ever have to go through when they're grieving or loss. And these people are just right there in the middle of, land, and it's stranded. They couldn't complete their journey.
Right. Isolated,
Yes,
alone.
and the shape on its own is, how like they embrace each other. I was thinking, of those mothers in specific that come with the young children, um,
Right.
That one
Hmm.
in specific, thinking of a mom with her daughter and how sometimes they both die in the journey. So that's what it's about.
Right. That's heavy stuff. So
Yeah,
when we get to, yeah, honestly, like, damn. So we got to the wall. What looks like, it's right across. So if you see at the bottom of this, oh wait, that's Jesse's. But it's kind of like this. The pieces on the floor, the wall adjacent to it has these pieces. What kind of looks like monotype, and I think what gave me that impression was like the transparent quality of it. But faceless portraits, and you kind of alluded to this or you told this to me when we were setting this up, but kind of the idea of posters in Matamoros of people missing. But I guess just like first, can you like again materially and physically like what is this and how did you make these?
yeah. So those are like work on paper. They're like watercolor paper, very thick paper that takes the chile. So what I do, I leave the chile because this is a dehydrated, chile. So I allow it to get some moisture out of the environment, and sometimes I force it on with a little of like hot water, and then I do this against the paper, so the chile loses everything that is inside of it and leaves it on the paper. So at the
Mhm.
end, I end up with almost a completely transparent piece on my hands, which it was the chile, that left everything behind on the paper. So in
Right,
terms of, I'm very into process, and for me that was very important for me while I'm doing them. Just like a moment when there's a lot of reflection when I'm actually doing it. And in terms of the actual piece and how it looks, yes, you're completely right. It's about those posters of the people that are missing, um,
hmm,
and reflecting on how you see them everywhere, right? Not only on the Mexican side, you see them like in places like Walmart and other places of people who are just missing,
right,
and transforming or transporting that idea into migrant people who are missing. Again, going back to that stranded idea, and how when we talk about them, they become more like numbers and statistics, and that's it. And we don't know much about who they were. We don't
right,
know much about not only like their faces in terms of faceless portraits, but we don't know what their dreams are or were, and why they, what motivated them to go through all these humongous sacrifice that ended up, we don't know where they are at this point. Um,
right.
and yeah, that's how I ended up with that piece. Right now, twisting it a little bit. I'm working with a smaller size paper because I wanted to, the whole thing of all the policy that Donald Trump implemented when they were separating families,
Hmm.
and how the way how they did it ended up like losing track of where the families are. And
Right,
at this point, even like to this day, we have like 545 kids who are still missing their families. So I'm working in a smaller format and trying to figure out how to convey that in comparison to those big ones, when the same thing is happening. People stranded, people missing, people who we don't know where they are. There's
right,
still people that are way younger, and they're kids. There are people who didn't really make decisions that we are making, but they're suffering the consequences.
right. And I guess another component about this piece is that the bottom ones especially have like holes in them, eaten away by bugs and the decay and kind of the age. The top layer were made in 2020. These were made in 2018, I think, 2018
In 17, yes.
and
Yes.
2017. So can you talk about the age and what that does? Because another, actually going back to this one as well, when I went in with Jesse and Josie and Ceci and all them, there was a fly, you know, like just like go not I don't think maybe not a fly, I'm not sure, just some type of flying insect creature flying around, and it just added so much to it. Can you speak on that component a little bit?
Yeah, so there is like this little bug that comes into this specific chile.
Mm,
Um, So it's like a little yellow and it becomes like a little warm and then it creates, a flying creature. I'm not sure how it's called, but I'm completely familiar with them because I have them in my house in the winter, right?
Oh God.
Um, so I even have a post on Instagram where I have these yards where I put all the chiles and they're just starting being born right there. Um,
Hmm.
so that was a very important component in my own eyes. Talking about Mark Clark, I know we talked a couple of times on how to preserve the piece of the wall, and so it wouldn't, have to collapse every time I exhibit it. And I was very
Right.
against that because I thought that the decay and the disappearance of the material and the transformation into something else was very important,
Right.
especially for that piece of where they're stranded or barada.
Hmm.
Um, that is what happens to the human body, right? Especially when they don't go, through the process that we usually will go if we die. Um, so I allow those things to happen. I don't treat the chili in another way how we preserve and maybe still have the color, but I will lose the smell. I will lose that transformation. So I made a decision that sometimes I regret because obviously every time that I have exhibited this, I have to keep
Redo
redoing
them.
it. Yes,
Yeah.
but I have some help, so very beautiful help.
Nice.
So I go through that process again. With the paper in specific, I thought of the posters, like the actual missing people posters, and
Yeah.
how they're posted around, and that's it. They they become forgotten pieces of paper around your community that you don't have a longer connection with them, and the weather is gonna start transforming them into something else, and they will
Mhm.
eventually disappear.
And why do you think this is kind of off the cuff, but like, why do you think it's important for you to address these topics through art? Like, what will that do?
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting question because I never dealt really directly with immigration issues when I was in school or even in other series that I had before.
Mm.
But again, going to that, the beginning of the campaign of Donald Trump, it was just too strong. You had a person who was aiming to become the president at that point, and he was allowed to talk the way how he talked about us, and the media and people overall entertained that idea. And so even though I had other projects happening at the moment and things that I was working on, it was just impossible for me not to really deal with that at that moment.
Mhm.
And even to this day, like I have a bunch of pieces that I started in 2016 that I'm, connecting back to them to finish them. Um, that I just cannot escape that anymore. And I guess
Right.
also has to do a lot with me. I'm an immigrant. I'm born in Matamoros, and circumstances led me to end up living in the other side of the river, right? More
Yeah.
than the other type of circumstances that these people are looking for a space where to live. Leaving all violence and horrible things that are happening to them. Those things I really wasn't flying from them. But I'm still an immigrant, and I'm still Mexican in the eyes of everyone who sees me. I'm still Mexican in the eyes of the government, in the eyes of my professors, in the eyes of those who say that I would never pass a class because English was my second language. So
Mhm.
it's just impossible to escape that at some point. So I made peace with that, and I embrace it. I will say.
Gotcha. So I also kind of skipped over the names for no reason. My bad.
No problem.
But I mean, there's a definite language game happening with the titles, like Varada, Stranded, ellas, ellos, them. In the interview with Lauren Morford for Glass Tire, you mentioned the shift in meaning from English, like when saying something in English and Spanish, and how that can better understand the world. And does Varada have a different connotation than Stranded? And how does that better, help us understand the work?
So with that one, I will say that it has a very similar connotation in Spanish and English,
Mhm.
and that it could be applicable for other things rather than humans. You know, like maybe you're talking about a boat or something else that is not in a human, and you say stranded, right? Or you say barada.
Mm.
So I guess I was going for that, like the dehumanization of these bodies with the title. With them, that one is the one that I struggle, I will say, the most in landing into a title, because in Spanish, you know, Spanish has gender, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't land it into a word back then where I will describe them in a way that I will convey ellos, ellas, ellas, ex. So
Right.
I just wasn't sure how to do so. Because I in that one I landed them before ellos, ellas. And that's what I wanted. I wanted something that really didn't reflect anyone in a specific.
Right. But somehow you're broadening it by incorporating the them, the English, you know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I try so. I'm not sure how successful that was, but I try to. I would say the whole title thing is it can be complicated, and it all started with the piece of the world that's part of that series, where I landed in diversion, as you know, which in Spanish the same letters say diversión, which is fun. Um,
Right.
Going back into the rallies where people, you know, have a lot of fun saying things like Mexico will pay for the wall or lock them up, all those things when they're just having fun. Um, but they're fun. It's about our lives, things
Mm.
that really are happening to us. And I would say even now in 2020 when we have so much death around us, and they're still having fun. So I really like that title for that reason.
Gotcha. Um, those were kind of all the questions I've had. I think we could step in your studio, but you know, this whole time I haven't been able to see you. Then I'm not gonna lie, you've just been this loading circle this whole time.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm wondering if I'm a little nervous again. Like if I save this video, what will happen? So if anybody has any questions, please like shoot them and we can get to them. But feel free to show us your studio, even though I can't see it. I know you showed me some some thread work last time,
Yeah, and if
and
anyone can give us some thumbs ups, you know, if they're able to see us. Um, as I said, I can actually see you very well. Oh, thank you,
okay,
Mackenzie.
cool.
Okay, so I guess, let's see. So as I mentioned, I'm still working on some of those pieces. I have them over here, but I also am working on the small ones. Let me
Mhm.
get this out of the stand. Sorry about that. So these are the smaller version of them.
I
As you can
can,
see, I use the tape around it, and it's the difference in size is it's quite you know, it's quite a difference.
gotcha.
So,
Can't see him,
um,
but great.
sorry about that.
It's okay.
Uh, but at the same time, working on other things like this. This is not a piece. I would say it's more like study of the materials.
Hmm.
I'm moving a little bit into textiles. Um,
Right.
I'm super not familiar with them. I was never a person who learned how to sew and anything like that.
Hmm.
So I literally am using push pins to figure out how the material works.
Right.
Materials are super important.
You're kind of muffled now. You're covering
Oh,
the mic, maybe.
sorry. Is that
It's
better?
okay. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, Texas has like a long history or of cotton. Is that something that's present that you're thinking
Definitely,
about?
definitely. So, and I'm also thinking a lot of, you know, things like this. So this is not a piece that I have. This is something that my mom got me um, in Peru.
Mm.
And I love the embroidery. And so I'm just studying a little bit of that because eventually I'm trying to do some deconstruction of embroidery. So I'm
Gotcha.
learning how to do that. Um,
Fun.
and yeah,
Awesome. Last time you also mentioned you had some work from Palmenes, who's also in the show, Noel Palmenes, and even Carlos Gomez, who was his teacher, your teacher. all of our teachers somehow. I have a Palmenes shirt right here.
Oh yeah, I created that show.
Oh, you did? Oh, I
Yeah, I
didn't
did.
had had no idea.
So this is how I ended up with this piece.
Yeah,
Because he gave me as a thank you, and then over there on the top, I have that other piece that is also Palmeras.
sweet. I have a
Uh,
Palmenes in here too.
oh really?
Yeah, I was in high school when that show came out.
Oh, that's
So
great.
he was printing these shirts in my high school class when I I was helping him. Yeah.
Yeah, I was the gallery director back then.
Oh,
And this is
sweet.
the Gomez. This is an exchange that we have with Jose Maria Parga. Him and I,
Mhm.
we created a piece together, and he Gomez really wanted to keep that piece, so he gave us each a print, a llanto
Great.
it's called. So yeah,
Awesome.
and this is another piece that I'm like getting back to it because this is like a very early work
Mhm.
that I developed with still a student. And yeah, I'm just
Great.
like working around the different materials. This is more like clay, like paper clay. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm dealing a little bit again with things about like the Ku Klux Klan and stuff like that. Um,
Right.
I have
Has being
that.
in New York like changed anything for you and how you're approaching work?
Mm, definitely. I think I'm more open to things that I wasn't so sure how to go about. Like that piece of the Ku Klux Klan. Um, that's an idea that actually happened in Brownsville. I don't even remember this big piece honoring like Confederate places in Brownsville, the
Hmm.
rocks.
Right.
So I really wanted to create like these nuns hats, like the red things, like kind of like Amelie's in the movie, but
Yeah.
white. Um, so I was trying to do that, but I was too shy about it. Uh,
Hmm.
and I guess New York has helped me just to go and do it.
Try
Definitely.
it. Yeah.
I'm trying. I haven't done ceramics in a very long time, but I'm
Mm,
really trying right now.
great. Cool. Well, does anyone have any questions? I think we're gonna wrap it up soon, if not now. Um, if not, just let me know. I think people should vote. I voted. I went down to Brownsville to vote
Oh, really?
last weekend. Yeah.
Thanks for doing so.
So if you haven't voted, get out of this. Don't watch this video. I should have said that at the beginning. My bad.
Definitely. Oh, Jesse's asking something.
What does he say?
That's enchilado while you're working on your work. Yes. Yes. Definitely I get chile everywhere. It was super hard how to learn how to deal with it. Now I'm using more gloves. But honestly, the gloves has to do more with the kind of glue that I use than the actual chile. But I think it was horrible, horrible, because you don't think of chile guajillo is not a very spicy chile.
Right.
Um, so, but in big quantities, and I'm talking like, big, big boxes of compressed
Mm.
chile guajillo, um, it becomes spicy. It really does. Your skin it does react to it. So yeah, I've
Right.
definitely become enchilada.
Yeah, I was handling the pieces with gloves, and after I took off the gloves, I still smelled it. I'm like, oh God. Plus
Yeah.
latex, it was like, oh, this is hell. This is worst.
It, yeah,
Yeah.
it at this point I can no longer smell it, tell you the truth.
Mm.
I just cannot really differentiate the smell. But it's just so much. And I remember Mark Lai when we had the exhibition and
Mm.
his gallery in Brownsville. He was living on the second floor of the gallery.
Right.
And I don't know how he doesn't hate me now. But he said it was such a beautiful smell. And it is.
It
But
is.
every day is something else.
I totally understand that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I think we should wrap it up. We're about 30 minutes in. So thank you for talking and all the insight. It's been really great.
No, thank you so much for considering me, and thank you for all the hard work that you put on. And because I was over here dealing with COVID and trying to get better, and you were super, super helpful, and I really appreciate
Thank you. No, thank you. And thank BAC. Thank everyone. Okay. Thanks everyone who showed up also.
Okay,
Bye.
go and vote. Please do.
Well, yeah. Okay. Bye everyone.
Bye-bye.